Okay, the City of Marine City Commission meeting is called to order on Thursday, October 3rd at 7 o'clock p.m. We have a moment of silence to send our positive thoughts and prayers to those in our community that need our support. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, can we do roll call, please?
Commissioner Bryson. Here. Commissioner Hendrick.
Here.
Commissioner Clausen.
Here.
Commissioner O'Brien.
Here.
Commissioner Rourke.
Here.
Commissioner Ross.
Here.
Mayor Vandenbosch.
Here.
City Manager Reeves.
Here.
On to approve of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Support?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. On to public comment. Anybody is welcome to address the City Commission. Please state your name, limit your comments to 5 minutes. The Commission will not respond, will follow up as necessary, and please address all your comments towards the Commission and through myself as the chair. Is there anybody else, anybody like to speak public comment?
Okay. Yeah, that's a very interesting thing you said there, Jen. Direct the comments towards you, as long as they're positive, right? I mean, if I'm up here saying negative, I got to talk to you, but if somebody comes up after me, like the 3 people afterwards, and they say something positive right to Scott, that's fine. That's not how it works. The First Amendment is the First Amendment. You're allowed to say what you want to say to who you want to say it. You can't just have different rules for different people depending on what they're going to say. That's not how it works. Polish up on the First Amendment and the Constitution, the one you took an oath to. One other quick comment, kind of dovetailing on, just the state of our city and the state of fear and harassment that a lot of people in the city are feeling still right now. Just on my rounds putting up signs, I'm contacting people that I put up signs for 2 years ago. And those same people are feeling not comfortable with putting my signs up now, even sending me messages saying, my husband and I talked about it, we would love one, but are very concerned that we would be harassed even more by the city I live on. I won't say the street because I don't want to be harassed further. And they are still harassing us along with the rest of the people in my neighborhood. This is not indicative of a city that's being well run, when its own citizens feel like they're being harassed by this city and the administration that runs this city. That's ridiculous. It's entirely ridiculous. And every time you guys get up here and pat each other on the back like everything's going great, again, it's a slap into the face to the people in the community who aren't feeling that. They really aren't. We've had record business closures over the last few years. We still are the only city in the in this county that doesn't have anything for kids. No skate park, no splash pad. We had $465,000 from the federal government ARPA funds. None of that went to help the people. No park, no land over there by the school. Really nothing has been done for these people to make them feel like things are getting better in this city. So when you guys sit up here and say everything's going great, and then I get messages after the meeting like people just want to puke because they see this and that's not what they're feeling. It's not what they're feeling at all. As far as, you know what, I think I'm going to save that one. I'll just leave it at that. And I had a recent invitation to Eileen Tesch's podcast on Blue Water Healthy Living. We did, me and Lisa and Rita, we went on that show 2 years ago to kind of let the voters know what, what we represent, what we're about. And she invited me, and I'd like to invite you, Jen, on the show. I'd like to invite you to have a little debate. I mean, each time, every year, we usually have a debate during election season, And I think the voters would really like to see and hear some of the things that you're thinking. Again, I said at this podium before, you don't really say a hell of a whole lot. You just kind of go with the flow of things, and it'd be really nice to know what your ideas are for the city to get some of these businesses back up and running, to help some of these people in the city not feel so harassed to the point where they can't even put political signs in their front yard. I think people would really like to hear something from their mayor that would give them any indication on what she represents. Because at this point, the only representation that they're feeling, it has to do a lot with your husband, Dave, and his push to develop 26 Mile despite 85% of the people in the area not wanting that to happen. And I don't know, do you want that to happen, Jen? Do you want 26 Mile developed and bring in factory and industry and have us another 23 Mile down here? People would like to know how you stand on that, because obviously going forward here with all these developments, apartments and such, housing developments going to Algonac, it seems like there's a lot of changes that are being put in, and people would like to know how you feel about that. Last thing, it's a little weird that we hired a city manager for $115,000 a year, and we also have to now pay Scott to be a consultant at $50 an hour on top of that. Why aren't we hiring people that are absolutely qualified and are ready to take the job? That would have been how I would have done it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else for public comment? Okay, seeing nobody else, we'll move on to approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the city commission meeting minutes of September 19th, 2024?
So,
Make a motion, we approve the city commission meeting minutes.
support.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Very well done, Jason.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carries. Under the consent agenda, item 7, we have 7A, the Community and Economic Development meeting minutes of July 24th, 2024. Community Economic Development Board meeting minutes of August 28th, 2024. The business license application for Zero Innovation LLC. Business license application for Discount Marine Source LLC. The business license application for Great Lakes Taqueria. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through E as presented?
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda, letters A through E.
Support.
A roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bryce.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Brien.
Yes.
Commissioner Rourke.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Mayor Vandenbosch.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, on to 9A, under financial business, we have expenditures, including payroll, in the amount of $2,737,040.22. Can I have a motion to approve those expenditures, including payroll, in that amount of $2,737,040.22?
I'll make a motion, we approve expenditures, including payroll, for $2,737,040.22.
Support.
Okay, motion and the support. And that does include, it was 2 million, just over 2 million in tax disbursement?
Correct. It's almost, we're getting to our last push of the tax money that we've brought in to push over to different entities. There's really only about $400,000 or a little less of our actual bills, but the rest is all that tax money being pushed out.
Yeah, I was going to say, I calculated about 2.4.
Yep.
Which jives. Yeah, so school district, right, St. Clair County, and then our own general fund to paying ourselves, so.
The roll call, please.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Brien.
Yes.
Commissioner Rourke.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Mayor Vandenbosch.
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, on to 9B for the Miller Canfield invoice, and that for $47,500. Can I have a motion to approve the invoice for Miller Canfield for services rendered on the bonds, the safe drinking water, in the amount of $47,500?
I'll make a motion, we approve paying the Miller Canfield invoice for $47,500.
Support.
Any other discussion?
And just to confirm, this is something that would be covered by the grant, correct?
Correct.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Brien.
Yes.
Commissioner Rourke.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosch.
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, and 9C, designation of authorized signatory for the city financial accounts. I have a motion to approve the attached resolution designating city manager Michael Reeves as an authorized signer for city financial accounts and remove former manager Scott Atkins from the same.
I make a motion that we approve the authorized signatory for the city finances to remove Scott Atkins and add Michael Reeves.
Support.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner O'Brien.
Yes.
Commissioner Rourke.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosch.
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, on to 9D for city manager transition compensation consideration. And would you like to start, Tom?
Yeah, please. So this was something I'd asked for to be on our agenda following discussion during our last session that our new city manager was doing training before his contract started and was on the clock. And yeah, it's a considerable compensation package we're doing now, but this was also work before that started. This is a consideration that I think that we need to set forward because of our other employees that we'll be bringing on and training in the future. That is something that is regularly compensated across numerous different industries, and it's a standard we should be upholding. We have two different options in front of us. One is, I believe, banking, a total amount of hours for leave time, or the other is a financial stipend, I believe. Personally, I'm fine with either. I think we should have our new city manager weigh in on how he feels about this and where he goes, if that's appropriate.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate yours and the commission's bringing attention to this. First, let me indicate that Scott has been a phenomenal resource, and he's been on the payroll, not as a consultant, but as a city manager until last night at 12 midnight when the transition officially occurred. So we haven't expended any funds for him as a consultant at this point. My first day is today. Obviously, I didn't prepare a lot of this agenda. I did talk to Scott a little bit about this. This is not something that I was expecting or wanting to occur. I appreciate the board's offer. What I would suggest for me is maybe a split. I recognize the cost of this is you know, it's a big amount, and I appreciate the fact. So if we could do 20 hours of each, would that be acceptable? And if that doesn't work, all bank time is acceptable. I do have some personal appointments coming up that I'll use that time for.
I'm fine with either of those options. I defer to the rest of you. I will add briefly, I believe you've been in all day helping and preparing with the transition. I don't know if that's under your consultant time. You all got to stop working off the clock.
Well, I will tell you, this type of business requires a lot of hours, and it's a gift of love on Scott's behalf. I'll tell you, he's been very proactive in terms of assisting the transition. It's one of the smoother transitions that I've been involved in my career of municipal government and public administration. Other cases, very candidly, I walked into some significant issues right off the bat, but he's made our transition much more easy and accommodating. And what I'm hoping is that we don't lose a step in terms of a number of different things that we're working on with him going forward. Having him as a resource on certain projects will be invaluable. As an example, this safe water drinking project. That is a huge project that's going to take an immense amount of oversight, and having his abilities and having him assist me in something like that would be greatly appreciated and is needed, very candidly. As I move forward and look towards making slight changes in terms of how we do certain things. Being able to bounce those things off him and the commission will help me set the path forward.
Thank you. Thanks, Scott. Are we good to make a motion then?
Yep.
I move that we compensate the new city manager 20 hours of banked leave time and 20 hours in financial compensation for job training before his contract begins.
Okay, is there support?
Support.
Any other discussion?
Maybe just a suggestion to put it in 8-hour increments and just for the sake of a day. I don't know, like do 24 hours or.
I believe that the total of hours that we have here in front of us was 40 hours, and so that's where the split was.
You know, I didn't even think of it in
I
terms of a
gotcha.
day's
But I
work.
was just thinking in terms of you being able to take a vacation day
Oh,
Yeah.
and not having some weird amount of time left over.
Well, it usually starts 7:30 in the morning till after 6 at night, so
Okay.
we can count that as an 8-hour day, that's fine with me. And some nights they go longer, but that's okay.
It's 40 hours a week, right? And
Correct.
no Friday.
Right.
Anyway,
Well, Friday we're in as well.
yeah,
It's 2.5 days.
okay.
It's what I signed up for, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, that's fine, yeah. If you're okay with the 20 hours, that's
I'm
perfectly
fine.
fine.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Rohr,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosch,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion carried.
On to 10A for amended resolution. We have the social district. Can I have a motion to approve the amended resolution that's 008-2023 in regards to the amended management and maintenance plan for the social district to update the operating hours? And they're requesting the change to be from 12 PM to 12 AM. So to start earlier in the day.
I'll make a motion, we approve the amended resolution number 008-2023.
Support?
Any other discussion?
I'm not in favor of it. I think noon is too early. There's kids and families in the park, and I just don't see the point of it.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Sorry, I wanted to interject briefly, not necessarily interject, just make a statement. So just one thing I wanted to point out that I've confirmed is that it does contain this initial 90-day review period after implementation, and then also mandates an annual review of it as well. So, should anything be iffy or, we get complaints from the citizens, then we can adjust. And, again, this was brought on by the police chief as the best way to, be able to let people enjoy the outdoors and enjoy the bars while still being responsible about it. And it was, to effectively take away the open intox ordinance that we had as a result of COVID to, allow people to drink outside. So anyway, this is what we saw as the best of both worlds. But again, I just wanted to highlight that we do have this initial 90-day review period and an annual review that's codified into that document, so.
I will add briefly with the 90-day review period and the seasons changing, this isn't the entirely best time of year to be testing, to be fair, right? But we do get that annual review, and during this 90-day period of review, if any of the public is uncomfortable with this, if they have questions about this, if this isn't working for them, if they're concerned about children, I really do invite them to come in and address this issue, so that we can reaffirm in 90 days, or change.
Mayor, if the commission and you would like, I'll instruct the chief of police to track any issues or concern that arise out of the social district, so it'll be ready for your review in the 90 days. That way you'll have an idea, at least what came through their hands. There are eyes and ears and with immediate contact with the citizens in that district, so I'll have them prepare a report that will indicate any issues if so.
Okay, thank you. Nothing else? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Mayor Vandembosch,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
No.
Commissioner Clausen.
No.
Commissioner O'Brien.
Yes.
Commissioner Berg.
No.
Motion carried.
On to 11 for new business, 11A, request for use of city facility. You want to go ahead, or city manager, if you'd like to go ahead?
If I can. Obviously, today is my first day, so I had been prepping with the agenda and going over a number of different things. But as I prepped for the agenda, one of the things I looked for in terms of this agenda item is I immediately asked, can I see the policy the city has in place in terms of allowing occupancy of a city building? Okay, is there an insurance requirement? There should be a liability place, at least $1 million liability policy in place for allowing somebody to occupy. What is the use of, who can go into the building? Is it restricted to what sections of the building? Is it the ADA requirements? Do they understand, you know, where they can and where they can't go? Is the building sectioned off? Regardless of what any building you have, the most important part of that is who controls it? Where do they go to ask for it? What if two groups ask for the same day? Where does it end and start? So I asked for that policy, and I found that we don't have that type of policy yet, that we really haven't gotten to that point. So then I asked, well, has it ever been discussed through maybe the historical commission? Has there, and I assumed that there was a couple buildings that may be in play, but apparently there's only the one building, if I'm right, at 300 Broadway at this point. So what I've basically found is that at this point, we don't have a plan or a way to authorize this and how to go about it as we should. We should have a plan that's consistent, so if you decide to do this, we follow what the council lays out in terms of, you know, you want it this date, this is what you get it, these are the hours you get it, this is the activity that's allowed in there, this is the activity that's not allowed in there, what sections of the buildings be used, what's the insurance requirement, is there an occupancy, the whole 9 yards, so that the city administration can administrate when people come in and ask for it. Is there a rental fee? Who takes care of the cleanup? I can't put that on the DPW at this point. We're struggling a little bit there, and we hope to correct that issue going forward. So I would ask that as you prepare to consider this item, and you may have talked in past meetings that I'm just not aware of, but from what I could find, this doesn't exist at this point. And I'd ask us to consider that as you go forward. Before we take that step out there, how do I put into play what you're going to ask me to do if there's no playbook or there's no plan? I want to follow your direction, but if there's no direction in terms of how we go about it, give us that direction, I guess is what I'm looking for, if you will. And I can answer questions if I can. I'm sure there's a ton of people that would love the opportunity to use that building or one of our buildings. And I think it's a great idea, but how do we go about it and how do we get it? And then if we're going to put a plan together, let's do that with the Historical Commission and those type things. Did I say hysterical? I did. I meant historical. I caught that. That was a slip. I apologize for that. Opening night jitters. So let's put that together collectively so that we're both on the same page. And then in the meantime, let me get familiar with the community and pick your brains and see if I can find some alternative spots that also, let's say we put this into play and it's busy one night, we can say, hey, you can contact the American Legion Hall if there's one, or the KSC Hall, or a church that rents out a multi-purpose room, or something of that nature, if you will. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. And that's kind of along the lines I was thinking too, about having that plan, and we had talked about it last year, putting that plan together. We have the community groups that want to use it, and that's great that we have community groups that want to use it, but once one group comes in and then another group wants to use it, without that plan to organize how these things are going to work, I could see there being some issues. So I would like there to be a plan in place first that, you know, like you were talking about, the maintenance, custodial, the scheduling, and all these things that we can do, the liability, and then we can get people in there to use it, but go through the right process of a plan to do that.
And do you charge for the use of the building? Does it city residents own? Is it not city? I mean, that's all in your purview, but I need to know this so I'm able to formulate this out to the people. And we're going to get requests because it's a beautiful building
Yeah.
and I get that. How do we go about it?
Well, and the other thing too is it's not, actually not this one here, because it's the Guy Center replacement, should also be considered as part of that. But I don't want to get tied into just one person renting this and we don't allow other people the same
That would not be
benefit.
right.
So that's another issue, but I agree. The policy is definitely needed. I know Lions Club does the same thing. They have a whole policy. They have it for liquor, they have it for insurance, they have it for everything. Cleaning fees, if you clean it right, you get your fee back. So it needs to be done, yeah.
And the Lions Club too, does rent out for groups to use. We have the Masons there, we have Daughters Isabella, we have KFC.
Football.
When,
Yeah.
yeah, football, they were using it tonight. We had, when the quilters got displaced out of Washington Life Center this summer because of the hours adjustment, we had them come in, and they were able to use the Lions Club for their meetings and their activities. So if it's about needing a place until this plan is put together and the policy and things are done, that's another avenue that community groups could use as well while we work on this.
If I may add, I think, my wife's on the historical commission and involved in various of the historical communities. She has expressed that there's a great interest, and Commissioner Ross, maybe you can speak to this more, but of seeing 300 Broadway become functional down the line for this, and there's obviously some work that has to be done there. And if groups are renting that out, if there's a financial component that can help pay for some of that cost. But there is a ongoing question of who is doing the labor of the booking of the facilities, then who is inspecting the facilities and taking that up. And while our staff is relatively stretched right now, and we have various expectations we've put forward, that's a big question in the middle of all of this that we have to handle. So I do appreciate the idea of going to the policy first. Bob, this is not to push this off on getting you guys a facility. I think we have to get this in line. And I also think this is why we need consultants to be able to work with the size of our offices and staff, to bring all of this together and in line. So I appreciate the notion of finding something in the interim for them that may not be us, but getting this policy in place so we can start using our facilities. We should be providing a community center. This should be a function that we offer, and I think this is taking us in a step towards that.
Right.
Pretty much covered.
I have a community that I work for that leases and rents out the soccer fields. And they have to have insurance, they have to have policies, so that one won't override the other one. So you do have to have a policy.
Going forward, I can do a couple things. I can work with staff and others to assist in locating a spot now to help the petitioner find a location now until we can get this going. I'd be happy to do that and see if I can help pave that path. And then what would you suggest, or what's the vehicle you want me to use to devise a plan? I would hope that would be a joint thing from the commission and maybe the people that are utilizing the building. I've been over there, it's a beautiful structure, but I know it's not all ready for the people to go beyond certain areas at this point. So there may be some work needed to close off access to some areas in terms of people when we're not there. I would suggest, however, that it has to be city staff eventually that checks in the building, checks out the building, and just because it's ultimately the city's responsibility, even though we're stretched, we'll have to find the time and ability to have staff go over there and review the building for cleanliness or maintenance issues or plumbing issues or whatever may arise. And then we also have to have the restrooms and make sure they're clean. And we know we struggle to get the park stuff done and make sure they have the proper paper to get the job done, so to speak. So there's a lot more to it, and I just want to make sure we cross our Ts and dot our Is before we jump.
So for me personally, I have to agree with this, even though I want to get you guys a home. I truly do. but it has to be done the right way. And I personally am beyond frustrated with I have been asking for this plan for a year and a half on 2 separate occasions. And the last date that I was told they would have it to me was this past May, and there's still nothing. I mean, at some point, something has to get done. So I would request that at the next city commission meeting that is after the next historical commission meeting, we are presented with a hard deadline for when they think that we can have a draft to review.
Does that need to go in any kind of form of a motion, or can that? be
No,
guidance?
I heard that loud and clear.
Okay.
Unless you feel that it needs to be in the form of
I
a
don't
motion.
think so.
I hear you.
No.
And we'll begin immediate work on it.
So, and then,
I'll try to make it all as encompassing and then let you pick it apart and decide what pieces you like and you don't like.
and the next question is, would it be appropriate to table this instead of just saying no? Because I don't want to say no, but could we just table it until we have a process and plan in place?
If my answer, Mayor?
Absolutely.
It may, but I can't tell you how long the table would be, because then there may
Obviously,
be
yep.
some building
Yep.
things that have to
Yep.
occur, and I'm, be honestly, I'm
But-
not up to speed on that yet.
No, I completely agree. It's just, I don't want to just say no for the sake of saying no. When it's not a no, it's just, we need some more time.
I mean, let's try to find a location in the meantime, so you can get you up and running, and then let us work on this and get it back to you. I hear your deadline. Immediately, I'll go out and see what other people do utilize for the same type of plan. You know, usually the best work is copying somebody else's work and then making it work for us, but we'll get it done and get it back to you, and then let you review it, pick it apart, come back to it, and then we'll see what area, and I want to probably maybe go with a couple commissioners and look at the building and what areas. Typically, it's been a relatively small area, and I use the Maritime Days area of where they allow people to gather. Is that your intention? Is it the intention to use the garage? Or, you know, what is the intention? And then we'll go from there.
One last question with this. Does this give us enough time to get it on the Historical Commission's agenda? Because if we just set it for the next city commission after the Historical Commission and they can't get it on their agenda, we haven't done anything.
So, Commissioner, the deadline for the Historical Commission agenda is Tuesday, I believe I put out the email. So there would be time to get it on their agenda for discussion. It's a quick turnaround. That Historical Commission meeting is the Tuesday, so 15th, October 15th. And then our city commission meets the 17th. So I still think it's doable to get them on both. Our city commission deadline will be the week before, but I still think it's doable.
Well, we're gonna have a problem if we have a plan that we have to post to the public,
Well,
and they meet on the 15th, and our meeting's on the 19th.
I'm not asking for a plan, just a date that you'll have one ready.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's realistic to gin up a good plan and then, 2-3 weeks? I mean, it needs to have some time to be thought out and done correctly. I was just asking for, give us, the commission, a hard date that you'll transmit a draft to us to look at.
Okay.
So Historical Commission's the 15th?
Yes.
We have a city commission on the 17th. Can we have just an update of where the
will.
progress is? And then maybe in November, we can get a draft that we can vote on?
Sure.
Is that,
If that gives enough time.
yeah, if we have it in November, if it's ready, but we'll
That's
have an
fine.
update at least.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, a bit of this is the magic of who's creating this, right? So every time I go to a 300 Broadway committee meeting or a historical commission meeting, I bring up the need for this kind of, business plan to be brought forth. And there have been multiple business plans over the years by various groups that have tried to do things. And, we even had Shannon Schwabian and others from Christy Brown, from various other local organizations that help with all of this stuff. And after the 2 grants didn't come through, sadly, it was kind of back to square one. So we have one active group attempting to work on a maintenance endowment for it, and they're still active. We have another group that sadly lost their ability to raise funds in that their 501c3 documentation had lapsed, and so that's something that that group is dealing with right now. But nonetheless, there is a few people dedicated to putting together the business plan, but it becomes a big chicken and the egg scenario where, you know, they keep requesting for a commissioner to request that we potentially meet up with a member of the engineering firm, you know, so that they can ask, well, here's all of our ideas, you know, what do you see, engineering firm, as ones that are feasible, easily done, you know, or are we maybe thinking about this wrong, you know? So in other words, these are people with general business acumen, you know, many of which have businesses in town and run them successfully, but not building experts.
Right.
So it becomes this question of, you know, what can we do? And I had discussed a little bit of potentially meeting up with the engineering firm with Scott. And, you know, we need to move on from there. But full admission, you know, yes, we did, you know, I was hoping that we would at least have a draft business plan of what had effectively been submitted for those grants in about a month. But then when we reconvened, it was decided, well, since the grants aren't on the table, you know, that was where we had a lot of money to develop the building the way that we saw fit. But now we don't have any money. So how do we, you know, do the, you know, loose funds that the city has slated for either what the city has slated for building repairs and refurbishments, or, you know, lean on our local groups, hopefully the one can get their 501c3 back, to, you know, be able to further this at a much lower cost and phase the approach. So that's the reason for why this is taking so long.
And I would ask is, if you think, if the historical commission thinks that that is a good thing, and I would, sorry, my words are escaping me today, if they think that they want an engineering firm to come in and look at it, look at the ADA stuff, just look at whatever, send the commission a formal request, that way we can vote on it and approve it. I mean, at your next meeting, send us a request to have that engineering firm come in and look at it. That way we can vote on it, approve it, hopefully, and get things moving.
One of the things, though, is I want cost, because I don't want to spend an exorbitant amount on an engineering firm either, when really all we're talking about is the garages at this point and this building at this point, because the other portion of the building is going to take such amount of money, which isn't available right now. When you bring in an engineering firm in, you're going to talk a lot of money for them to give you an estimate, but you also have to have more of a plan put in place on what you want out of the building, and without that, how can he tell you what it's going to cost?
So a lot of it comes back again to this chicken and the egg thing, and without you.
I would think you would want to have some type of plan in place, or several plans of what your visioning is of the building.
That's what I had
So that you
directed.
can get the money, but that board has to do that first, so that the engineer knows what the heck he's gonna give a price on.
If I may, since there's a bit of a recursive problem in this, as we have two facilities theoretically available to use, here and the garages, the youth center, I think is what we've been calling it, right?
Yeah.
Whatever policy that we're coming up with should probably have a sunset or review period, right? 90 days, we can look at it.
Yeah.
Until we get this off the ground and really get it functioning, so that we can phase in aspects that we fix. So we can get something going in the meantime. We can start looking at getting an engineering firm in, and we can start negotiations or conversation with them. Let's ask them, right? We have an engineer of record now. Let's ask them, what do you need from us to come in and figure out what needs to be done with this building? What does the plan look like? How much does it need? I think that'll help the historical commission out. Get in some direction from the engineering firm. What do we need to keep going? That's all a separate project than the kind of more immediate pressing issue that we have now of trying to get something in place and functioning, right? And work on these together.
But that's what was requested sort of in the middle of the discussion, so I was just trying to
Yep.
air that issue, but.
And we need to give the historical commission support and direction in how to do this. And so we need to open discussions with the engineering firm of what they need from the historical commission to analyze and come up with a cost estimate before we're actually having them come in the building and look at things.
They actually, I believe, the engineering firm, they did go through it, a preliminary walkthrough, but,
Okay.
so I think they have kind of a good concept right now of what we're looking at.
If I may, I see the charge you're giving me is two-pronged. One is just to come up with the use or rental use plan for city facilities and bring that to you. The second piece is to, and I'm going to use the word interject, but not in the term of the, to interject some direction into the commission's meeting in terms of the engineer. What I will do is meet with Scott and see if we can come up with, I think AEW has been there, if I recall our conversation, and work with that and see what it will cost to give us a basic structural analysis. What can we use, what we can't use, and I'll bring that back to you as well. But I'll also encourage the Historical Commission. This is what the commission is looking for, folks, in terms of your business plan is what you hear, but this is what they're looking for in terms of use of the facility and these type of things. So it's two-pronged. One, the use plan, and the second piece of it is being the kind of the interject for the getting the engineer part moving. Would that be correct?
I feel good with that. I think that there's a lot of community groups involved in this, not just our own committees and subcommittees. And so support, maybe guidance would be good words to be thinking through here with the interjection. Right, bringing them together so they can understand a mutual, solution to them all.
Don't we have policies already that's setting forth for what are requirements for renting the parks for maritime days, for music festivals? This will run the same thing. It's just a building here that we're talking about, but that we must have some kind of form in liability insurance and stuff when we rent out stuff,
Well,
so.
when we rent the pavilion.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of
But
right.
nothing in terms of the cost and how do you, the
Yeah.
process of how you go about it. I did
Right.
find that, yes.
There's the pavilion, and actually we voted on and also approved the bandstand,
Yeah.
which is on this property. So, again, regarding the request for this business plan, what I had sort of requested was, we still need any plan first, whether it's crazy or not, or in other words, whether an engineering firm might find these costly or not. They'd be able to determine, well, that's going to cost a lot, but this other option might not. Again, there's not builders that are on our, people in the construction trades that are on this committee. It's the people trying to, rejuvenate and save this building for historical purposes. So, to that end, I will work with them to make sure that, firstly, that gets on the agenda. Consider it requested, Jason. And then that, we work to have something, a deadline for something that would be able to get input from an engineering firm. Again, I think all they're looking for is input, and it is my understanding that former city manager Atkins did kind of walk AEW through all of the city's assets, and, from the pavilions, the parks, everything, and they were particularly excited about 300 Broadway because it's a beautiful old building, and, they saw lots of potential, so.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, and let's move on then to 12 for administrative reports.
May I just make a couple quick points? I promise to be very quick on that agenda item before you leave it.
That'd be appropriate to do.
Well, he can talk on the agenda item itself if you haven't closed that item yet, if you haven't
Okay.
moved on, because he is the petitioner.
Yep, you can. If you could
Thank you
please
so
just,
much.
step up there, please.
Also,
Well, the other thing, we talked about the deferral, or.
yeah, do we need a motion to
Tabling.
table this formally? to-
Perhaps just to revisit it
Yeah,
instead of table.
okay.
It gives us a little bit more time,
Right.
friendly.
You table as the next meeting.
Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for agendizing this item based on my poor presentation last time when Jason Buzzer went off on me real quicker than I anticipated. I'm going to be very specific tonight. And I appreciate the positive nature of all the comments on behalf of the commission to make an effort to find us a place. We're going to get cold here pretty soon. Okay, so that being said, I'm in a group in the city of Warren. We're playing events for them and in municipal buildings on some occasions. We always sign a waiver, so that should be part of the plan that you're in the process of developing. And by the way, I agree with all the input from all of you that happened in the conversation on the agenda item. Conflicts on our part can be resolved. We can move. I can't imagine a situation where somebody would specifically want to do something on a Monday night between 6:30 and 9:30, but if that were to happen, all we need is 50 square feet of storage space in an adjoining room, and we can stash our stuff and clear the area for that to happen. I think it's important with 300 Broadway to have activity in the building for a number of reasons, okay? Some sort of occupation. Of course, we're talking about the garage area only, and we would restrict our people to that area only. And I think, especially if the occupation is some kind of arts-based group. Now, a lot of people think we're a lot of fun, which we are, but we're still basically arts. We're the original American art. We play jazz. That's what we do, and rock and roll and all that good stuff. That being said, though, being occupied in any portion of that building by an arts-based group, I believe, from my past experience in municipal government, would open some opportunities, increased opportunities for grants for the restoration of the whole building. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion, we defer a decision on this until we have a plan and policy in place for renting the venue, renting or allowing admission into the venue.
Support.
Motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries. Under 12 for administrative reports, on 12A, the city attorney report. City attorney is not here tonight, so we'll go to 12B for city manager report.
Thank you. I'm going to have a lengthy report, so I hope you don't. No, it's been an interesting time of preparation. Again, I want to thank Scott and the city staff. They've been very welcoming to me, and all of you have been phenomenal. I hope the honeymoon continues. But as we move forward, I am opening my eyes to the things that are going on. I'm watching and learning and listening and asking questions when appropriate. I'll probably have to lean on you for historical information in terms of how things have been done and certain entities and people and other things in order to, I don't have that history base, and sooner or later Scott's going to go to Florida or not return my phone calls, so, but I'm gonna keep him close by. But we make progress. I've got, what Scott says, an ambitious list of items I want to tick off in pretty rapid pace, so I'll keep you informed. Hang on, because we're going to try to get some stuff done and move forward on some stuff that perhaps has been just, you know, through no fault of anybody else, but just has to be addressed and make a decision. One way or another, let's make a decision, get it off the plate and move on. So thank you for everybody that's been so great to me coming aboard. I'm really looking forward to getting the work done and working hard at it. And again, thank you, Scott. Much appreciated.
Commissioner Ross?
I just have a question. Were you going to set up individual appointments?
I am.
Of us for,
I am.
Yeah.
So you'll get that email probably tomorrow or Saturday. I've got some stuff tomorrow I'll be working on, and we're going to go over. We graciously let Scott out of a Friday. I don't know how we agreed to that, but, but Jason and Katie will be there with me, and we've got a bunch of stuff to go over. But yes, you're going to start getting those emails. And I'll ask you, what do you prefer? Daytime, nighttime, in person, at a restaurant, in the city hall, come to your home, whatever works for you guys, that's fine with me. I just want to pick your brains and get to know you, see how you think. All you have an interesting background to me. So I want to be able to understand, and how do you think? How do you see things? What's your historical perspective on stuff? What's holding us back? Where are we lacking? All those kind of things I think are critical in order to me to formulate stuff to bring back to you, so that you can say, okay, this is good, not so good, or this is the direction I want you to go in, or you're crazy, don't go that way, go in another way. I take direction. I don't mind saying I'm sorry or I'm wrong. Okay, that's how you learn. That's how you gain experience. So I hope to gain that experience with each of you, but I'll get a hold of each of you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes. Okay. On to reports from department heads. And Fire Chief? Okay, all right. You clerk?
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, thank you. You know what my favorite topic is of 2024, so here it goes again. Just speak on a few election things. Absent voter ballots have been sent out. They were sent out last week. Everybody should have received them. If you have not, and you know you applied for one, please contact my office, and we'll make sure that we get that to you. 715 of them sent out. I have 2 overseas civilian voters and 1 military voter in the states in Florida that was sent with those, counted in that number. As of today at 6 p.m., 116 of those returned already. So we're at about 20% returned of that. 715 is a large number for absent voters, and we're still getting applications for those on the daily, multiple a day, which is great. I want to encourage everybody to vote. I've said it, this I think is going to be one of the biggest elections in our lifetimes, and I just want to encourage people to vote. Doesn't matter how you vote, who you vote for, but please vote. With that, I will say early voting starts on October 26th, runs through November 3rd, November 3rd. That is 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the Guy Center here. You are more than welcome to come in and cast your vote in person on one of those 9 days. Come on Election Day, get your absentee ballot. There are multiple options to vote. If you don't want to wait in lines, early voting is for you. I also wanted to clear up a misconception of, I think, the public, especially in Michigan with the changing, I believe in 2018, of the absent voter requirements. There are no mail-in ballots. I think that's a misconception, and there is a disagreement among individuals with that. It's an absentee ballot. There is no mail-in ballot, but you don't need a reason any longer in Michigan to request an absentee ballot. You're more than welcome to request one. So please do that if that is something you want to do. Also, with that option, with your absentee ballot now, you also have the ability to take that absentee ballot and tabulate it yourself in person on one of the 9 days of early voting or on Election Day. So if you want to do that, to take your time at home and look through that ballot and look through the proposals and the candidates and the races, you can do that and not feel pressured in the polling place, and then still come and tabulate that in person. That is also an option. Public accuracy testing, Monday, October 7th, so this coming Monday, 4:30 p.m. in the Guy Community Center here. Please come out. This is where they test the programming for the tabulators and for the election in November for accuracy. Make sure everything is working correctly. Commissioner O'Brien, you've been through 2 of them this year, and I'll admit it's a little dry, but Election Source, who conducts the testing, is very knowledgeable. They will answer any questions that anybody has. I've encouraged my election inspectors to come out and ask them questions, see how that process works. It was neat to see for the first time for me in February, and in August it was the same thing. This is a much larger ballot, so it might take a little more time than usual, but it's a good thing to do, and per law, we're required to do it. So please come out if you are interested in that. Lastly, on absent voter ballots, just a reminder to those of you who receive those, please make sure you return those in your secrecy sleeve. Ballot secrecy is of the utmost importance. our absent voter counting board, or myself, we do not want to see how you vote. Please return those in those secrecy sleeves so when we tabulate those, your ballot secrecy is still intact. Also, a reminder on that, please sign your ballot envelope, your return ballot envelope. Not required, shouldn't say not required to be dated, but please date it as well. If you forget that, we can still submit it and push it through for tabulation. Unless it's returned on election day, please date that. Moving on from elections. Burial count for September in Woodlawn Cemetery, 3 urn burials, 1 full burial. And I also wanted to remind everybody again, and I will do this at the next commission meeting as well, our community shred date on October 26th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Marine City Fire Hall. Also along with that is the school supply drive to benefit Holy Cross Elementary School and Bell River Elementary School. So please bring those school supplies so we can benefit the children of those 2 schools. And with that, that is all I have.
Can I ask a quick
Yes.
question before we move on? Do you know off the top of your head the order of the vote counts? If I remember right, one of the earlier discussions at the voting, or the tabulator test, was that the absentee ballots can't be counted until after the in-day, or the election day ballots, is that right?
No. So with our,
It's the new tabulator that's changed that.
no, when we process those ballots in precinct on election day, they could be processed throughout election day.
Okay.
Since that election commission has authorized an absent voter counting board for August and now November, they can be processed throughout the day individually
Great.
from the precinct, which I think takes up, less time of voters waiting in line. Now you don't have to wait for that. I think it's a more seamless process. It worked great in August for our election inspectors. I think it cut down on the stress for that. So I think it'll prove very helpful for this November election. I think we're going to see a very high voter turnout, so it'll be very beneficial.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
So do you know if the turnout's gonna be higher this year than it was in like 2022 or 2020? Any way to know that? Or-
No, I wish I could predict that. I mean, it's hard to predict it, but we always hope for a high voter turnout, but I can't give you a number, unfortunately.
All right, on to 13, Commissioner Privilege and Liaison Reports, and we'll start with Commissioner Clausen.
Well, the planning commission hasn't met because they haven't had anybody on the agenda to go forward and for us to review. As far as that goes, I'd like to thank everybody that supported me and helped me out through some problems I had here, and I'm ready to go again, so thank you.
Welcome back, Bill.
Welcome back, and we're glad that you made it through okay with everything. Commissioner Bryson.
We held a Dangerous Buildings Board of Appeals meeting last night, and there will be one property coming to the commission at our next meeting, but I am excited to say that over half of the properties that were on there were removed because the owners took care of their bit of it, and there's no more action that we need to take. So that's always the goal of that board, is to, we don't want to tear homes down. We don't want to do it ourselves. We just want the property owners to bring it back into compliance. That's the last thing we want, is to have to kick a property issue up to this board. And it's really nice when half of the properties fall off the plate because the owners took care of it, and now everyone, it's a done deal. And honestly, it's also something where if the property owners work with us and show progress moving forward, and at the end of the day they really rectify the problems, the board and the city have in the past partially waived fines that they were assessed. So I mean, that's something that really should be put out there, that if you really get these things, no one's out there to nickel and dime and to collect money on you. It's just the end goal is to get the property back into compliance. So, and it is something where we have used that in the past to waive a fine or partially waive a fine or hold it in abeyance to, as a incentive to really bring the property back into compliance. So, outside of that, again, I want to thank our former city manager, Scott Atkins, for everything he's done. And again, welcome Mr. Reeves, our new city manager, and I look forward to working with you. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. O'Brien.
Thank you. Stop doing that. Nice having all the commissioners back. Welcome back. Missed you guys. Mr. Reeves, welcome aboard. Good luck. Scott, I've said a lot of nice words already, so I'm not going to go through it all again. But seriously, thank you. And it's nice that we're still going to have you around in sub capacity in the future. Take a couple of days off first. Come on now. I do have a few items to speak on briefly here. If we have citizens who are feeling harassed, and I could understand that this would be happening, I haven't had any come and approach me feeling this way. It's much harder having someone say, you know, people feel this way and we don't know who they are, we don't know what's going on. When you come in front of the city and you speak at that commission, if the city's retaliating you all, we all see it. It's easier to catch that. Like if it's something secret in the shadows and people are feeling this way, it's much harder for us to have like tangible evidence that this is happening and deal with that problem. If anyone is feeling harassed, we need to hear it. Please contact a commissioner you trust, any of us. Please contact our new city manager. He's new. He doesn't know any of us. This is the time to reach out. If anything like this is going on, we need to hear about it and deal with it. Mr. Reeves, as we've got a bunch of different things that'll be coming up across your plate. I hope we'll be talking about community benefits ordinance down the line. I hope we'll be talking more about compensation to our employees in various ways. We kind of agreed that there was a little bit more to do at some point down the line. I think we may have been waiting for you. A reminder that we have a trunk or treat on Water Street, October 27th, 2 to 4. The Riverside Plaza has one the week before on October 20th from noon to 2 p.m. Go check out those businesses. They should have more information. I understand there's going to be some contests going on for like decorations and things like this, so please look into that. We should probably pass a resolution at some point that Halloween is the best holiday. I think we could do that unanimously, but I'll hold off for now. On a very somber and serious note, this is not the time to gamble on the election. This is not the time to hope on the election. This is the time to get out and vote. There's a lot riding on this. I'm not advocating which way to vote. Just please take it seriously and cast your ballot. A recent federal court ruled that gambling, there's wiggle room on gambling on the election. It's still illegal in the state of Michigan. That is not a legal thing to do. It's come up in recent discourse with folks asking about this. Don't do that. Don't take a bet on the election. That there's criminal ramifications there. And then finally, as what came up in discussion with the city building policy, this is the very reason why we need a consultant like Scott with us. We put a lot on your plate, and we couldn't get through all of it. And part of this is because there are so many different pieces to do. And being willing to take help is really important here, and I'm glad that we have someone skillful to do this. Part of recognizing when we need more personnel is the mark of professionalism. It is the mark of hiring someone who understands how things work. You need more cooks in the kitchen at times. So thank you for this. I'm looking forward to that. I want to speak on how important that is going to be to clear our agenda in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Ross.
Thanks. I think you just called you a sous chef. Okay, so other boards and committees, we did go over this, and, well, firstly, yes, thank you again, Scott. It's been a pleasure, and as Commissioner O'Brien said, take a few days vacation for real. And again, Mike, pleasure to have you on board and very excited to start working with you. So on other boards and committees, the 300 Broadway Committee did meet, and we, as a committee, don't have city staff support in terms of present city staff support for taking minutes at meetings and things like this. So to meet that need, we elected first, because we had just said this in the impetus of the committee, We elected a new chair, which is Laura Merchant, a new vice chair, which is Cheryl Ross, who Laura was the vice chair when I was chair. And I had been elected scribe, and so it's a note taker, and I've been taking those minutes, and agenda czar in Andrew Pakladinas. So the business plan sort of subcommittee is being headed by 2 members, and they are at a certain state of completion, but you know, again, they had sort of requested that I request that we look into whether or not we could go through this with an engineering firm to tweak, make adjustments, or based on viability and cost. And we sort of aired that at tonight's meeting, but this is in my notes to present tonight during my commissioner privilege. So that said, too, on our consent agenda, I'm personally super excited for a bunch of new businesses coming to town, and that excited for all the businesses. I'm going to get some tacos for sure, but also super excited that we're making boats in Michigan. I mean, in Marine City again. And you know, this is like the founding of our town was on boat building, and then here we are making boats in Marine City again. I think that's too cool. Thank you to all who attended Mariner Drama's production of Clue. And it was a hilarious show filled with antics and great acting, and shows what a talented community we live in. And I was happy to hear of at least one person who came based on my announcement at the end of last meeting. Thank you. And then thanks to all the citizens who've called me. I've gotten an impressive number of people calling me going, okay, man, what's the deal with these charter amendments on the ballot? That's great. You're participating in democracy and taking part in democracy, and that is absolutely wonderful. Call me anytime. And for those of you who have, tell your friends that Commissioner Ross answered the phone and said hi in a very nice manner, and actually spoke to them and told them, you know, the history, background, and thinking on each of these charter amendments, and, you know, why we pined over them and put them in place. And they are now on the ballot before you. That's all. Please pay attention to all the things that Commissioner O'Brien mentioned in terms of upcoming events. Stay safe and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Hey, Commissioner Roy.
I just wanted to let you know there, excuse me, a library board meeting on next Monday, the 7th, at 6:30 at the library. And please, please vote. It's important. It's something that every adult of age should do. And I really hate to hear complaints from people when they say blah, 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 and did you vote? Well, no, I didn't vote. So please vote. Your vote does count. And it's your, I consider it a civic duty. Whether you're voting locally or nationally or whatever, you should vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hendricks.
All right, I don't have anything for the fire authority tonight. We'll have a meeting later this month, so. And I just want to reiterate, Old Newsboys is starting up, and if there's anybody that ever would like to join, the first meeting's going to be October 9th, 7 p.m. at the fire hall. But this is our season. We got about 2.5 months to get everything going. Last year, I think we provided for about 250 kids. I think we're going to have more, unfortunately, this year with the circumstances everybody's in. So we really need the support. This community has always supported the Old Newsboys very heavily. We'll be sending out all the information soon, but if there's anybody that would like to volunteer and help, you can come to that meeting and be part of the group. It's, like I said, it's only a couple months out of the year, and it's nice. The people that come and receive it for their kids, they're so grateful. So I can't say enough about this community that always helps out. So, and that's it for me. Oh, and I want to congratulate you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And can't wait to sit down with you.
Okay,
I have my list too.
good. Is that on a legal pad or is that on a steno?
Oh, no, it might be on a legal one.
That's okay.
Just a couple additional things. Thank you, guys. You covered a lot of information tonight. Again, welcome to City Manager Reeves.
Thank you.
And again, a thank you to former City Manager Atkins for everything you did for us. They appreciate it. So a couple additional things. I've seen an advertisement. DTE has their program out for low-income self-sufficiency plan. where they help you within a program here to help with your payments, if, in your utilities, if you need any assistance. So please look at that if you need some assistance from DTE this year with that. Michigan Department of Health and Human Services also has started a state emergency relief program. Again, that's with utilities. They do have service caps for different amounts for different types of utilities that you have, again, through Michigan Department Health and Human Services. So they have that if you are struggling with utilities, you need some assistance, there's a couple options to go to for those. And again, I've talked to some people with different utility issues and water bills. If you have any questions on your water bills, please contact city offices to get those explained. And if you need some assistance with payments on the water bills, we have programs in place, we have assistance there, so please contact us and let us know. Washington Life Center is having a senior health fair, and that's on October 18th from 9 until noon. Some of the services that they're offering there, and I believe some are free. They're doing hearing services. Michigan Secretary of State is going to have a mobile unit out there to help with any Secretary of State services that might be needed. YMCA is going to be there, CMH, Community Mental Health, Tri-Hospital EMS. There's going to be some people from physical therapy there and a group called Ageways. Again, the Senior Health Fair, that's Washington Life Center, October 18th from 9 until noon. And then I have one last thing. Just found out today that on Channel 7 ABC, the Marysville versus Marine City homecoming game this Friday night, tomorrow night, is their game of the week. So they will be starting live coverage, the game tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, and they will have highlights on their news broadcast at 11. So again, tomorrow, Marysville versus Marine City, Marine City's homecoming game, the game of the week on Channel 7. Okay. So now, that is all I have. And can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.